Prince Andrew will avoid a public trial after reaching a settlement with Virginia Giuffre, who is suing him for sexual abuse. Imtiaz Tyab is following this story out of London for us, and he joins us now. So, Imtiaz, what do we know about the agreement made? I'm also very curious about where Prince Andrew is getting his money.
Indeed. Lots of questions swirling around this extraordinary case, and from what we understand, wildly expensive end to this extremely damaging affair for Prince Andrew and the royal family, an end, it's hoped, that will result in other victims of sex abuse receiving the help they so badly need.
I have no recollection of ever meeting this lady. None whatsoever.
You don't remember meeting her?
No.
For someone who so defiantly denied all allegations, including having ever met a then 17-year-old Virginia Giuffre, Prince Andrew is now poised to donate a vast sum of money to her victims' rights charity. In court documents, Andrew acknowledged Giuffre's suffering, calling her an established victim of abuse, and said he regrets his association with Jeffrey Epstein, his longtime friend and convicted child sex abuser, who Giuffre says trafficked her to the prince. CBS News legal analyst Ricky Kleeman.
This may not be an admission of guilt on the part of Prince Andrew, but it goes to the same issue. What Virginia Giuffre needed was to be acknowledged as a victim of sexual abuse.
No admission of guilt, no apology, and most crucially, no longer having to face a court deposition ahead of a jury trial on claims he sexually abused and raped Giuffre while she was still a teenager. Roya Nika is the Sunday Times newspaper's royal editor.
To see a member of the royal family involved in a full-blown trial and have depositions taken would be even more damaging than we've already seen this case be.
Make no mistake, this has already cost Prince Andrew dearly. Gone is his prized position on palace balconies. Gone are his ceremonial military honors. And while he may still be a duke, gone is the title of His Royal Highness, stripped from him just weeks ago by his own mother, Queen Elizabeth.
Now, guys, this year is the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, which is a celebration of her 70 years on the throne. And while this enormously costly settlement may no longer hang as a cloud over the planned festivities, Prince Andrew's absence will serve as an ugly reminder of all that's led to this point. Guys.
Well, Imtiaz, the exact terms of the settlement haven't been released. As you say, it's still not a full admission of any sort of guilt. What more do you know about that settlement?
You're right. All we really know is the statement, this joint statement that was put out by Prince Andrew and indeed Virginia Giuffre's lawyers, in which Prince Andrew acknowledged that she was a victim of abuse, and as you heard in our report, also went on to talk about his own relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, and that relationship was wrong. Jeffrey Epstein, of course, the disgraced financier who is convicted sex predator who died in a New York prison just a couple of years ago. Acknowledging that relationship was a problem. Whatever the case, this really is an extraordinary end to what has been a very damaging and bruising affair for the entire royal family. Now, here in the UK, there has been some reports that this settlement, and we don't know this for sure, but there are reports here in the UK that the number or the sum that they agreed is upwards of around £12 million, which is around $16 million. And here's the thing, Prince Andrew, although he is a prince, doesn't really have access to that kind of money. And the speculation here in the UK is that it's his mother, the Queen, who will pay that bill.
So, Imtiaz, Prince Andrew, as you noted, has been stripped of all of his royal titles, including the use of His Royal Highness. But for a lot of Americans, it doesn't connect, because either you are born a prince or you were born a monarch. That's what they say, right? It's my divine right to rule. Titles don't mean anything, because by birth and by blood, you are royal or you're not. So which is it, I guess? I know I'm asking you to comment on 1,000 years of British monarchy.
I might have a few thoughts. Look, he's still Prince Andrew. He is still the son of Queen Elizabeth. That hasn't changed. What has changed, though, is all of the honors that come with being a prince. You don't just have the title of prince, you also have all of these other honorifics, and because he was in the military, he was associated with so many aspects of the military service as well. But most crucially for him, I think what was the most painful thing to lose was what's known as his HRH, his Royal Highness. That was stripped from his mother along with those military honors and titles just a few weeks ago when his legal defense was saying that they were going to go to court for this civil trial and that they were going to fight for his innocence. But in the background of all of that, most people here agreed that there would always be some kind of settlement. But for Prince Andrew, if you really want to sort of peel or sort of lift the carpets up a little bit and get a sense of who he is as a man, this is a man who really likes being Prince Andrew, and that has gotten him into trouble in the past, and he has developed for himself something of not great of a reputation for the kinds of people that he was associating with, not just the likes of Jeffrey Epstein, but maybe some more authoritarian leaders in the Middle East and elsewhere, and I guess some could also criticize the way he accessed the perks, if you will, that come with royal life, whether it was, lots of money on travel, security, etc., etc. That's all gone. He is not really allowed to really engage in that sort of front-facing public royal role, a role that he really relished in. That's all been taken away from him. And this year, as we've been saying in our report, is the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. This is an extraordinary moment in British history to see this monarch who served 70 years on the throne, a much beloved queen, but this beloved son of hers will be very noticeably absent in many of these public events.
All right, Imtiaz, thank you.